Hello everyone, yesterday we featured a Galactus deck that made its way into the semi-finals of a 128 player tournament. And today we're going to showcase the deck that beat it. This deck went on to win the entire thing. They won the finals against a Stature Miles Morales Hawk deck, which is statistically the best deck in the game. And this one, it was a very close match, but this one was able to come out on top. And so this one is probably one of the better decks in the game. It may even be the best deck right now. And it's so simple, it is so consistent, and it's so easy to acquire. It doesn't have any Series 4 or any Series 5 cards. It is a standard death wave. And the reason this is so strong is in a kind of stale state meta where there are a lot of viable things. There's not one particular deck that just obliterates everything else. Death Wave comes in and it does what it wants to do impeccably. It can offer disruption. It can offer counter cards to any of the strong one costs that we have in the game. It can go wide with the Dr. Doom. It can counter those strong ongoing. So if you run into a Hawk, a Dino, a Null, a Patriot, the buff to Enchantress works wonders for this deck. Going up to a 4/6 allows it to be a decent tempo drop, even if it doesn't have a solid ongoing target to play for. And so overall, the list is incredibly straightforward. I'm not going to go through too much of a deck explanation, but it is very impactful. It can win you a lot of games. It's very flexible as well. And it's really easy to know when you have a potential win and when you need to retreat. And so you can mitigate your cube losses and maximize your cube gains by playing it aggressively, by snapping into those turns when you have your ideal line. If you want to see the Galactus build, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Incredible deck. It continues to evolve and find ways to be even more impactful, even when people start building counters for it into their decks for the majority of their decks. And then if you want to see coverage of Iron Lad tonight, I'm going to be releasing a video shortly after the card is released, testing it out. And so if you want to check out the day one brew, definitely stick around the channel and keep an eye out for that. But we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, first up we have Hoyd, or Hoyo. The first location is the Bifrost. In our starting hand, we have really every resource we need to win the game. We don't really need to destroy anything. The destroy package is great for death, but very rarely do we get to destroy more than 4 cards. And so on those games where you don't, honestly, this is a solid finisher, even if you don't get much onto the board before that point. Because then all of a sudden they're playing 1 card and you're slamming 25, 30 points, and you can control them with arrow. You can place your second card with She-Hulk, and it just makes it really tough for them to navigate. So in this one, we may be able to discount a death fully. And I'm gonna go ahead and snap into it. This looks like the, oh no, the Sunspot. Okay, I was thinking this looked like the Stature Miles deck that has taken the game by storm. For context, I think it's very consistent. I think it's decent, but I don't think it's just insanely strong. It can be beaten if you know what to expect. And so with that, we can expect on this turn maybe a Hawk over here, maybe a Rock Slide, if this is that deck. And then on turn 5, it's going to be Black Bolt. If they have Black Bolt, it's every single time going to be Black Bolt. And then into either like a Miles, Hawk, and Stature on the last turn as that kind of big burst of power. And so we're going to go ahead and play the Bucky Barnes 2 in the Bifrost. Let's see if I'm, oh no, Moon Girl. So this looks like a Zoo instead. So we are very confident now. Before this point, we were a little bit scared. I mean, the Stature deck can beat this one. It's a fairly even match. It's a fairly even bout. But with seeing that come down, they probably skip here into a She-Hulk, honestly. So a double She-Hulk is kind of scary. And I almost wonder if we just don't. If we just don't play that, I don't know. This will stop them from being able to do the She-Hulks plus a whole bunch of other cards. I don't know. This one's tricky. Let's go ahead and play the wave into mid. And I think, oh no, they don't skip here. Ooh, interesting. So there's 2 energy. There's 4 energy. So they only had 1 left over. So their She-Hulks are 3 if they have She-Hulks in hand. And they did play armor to make sure that we can't take out their Nebula, their Sunspot. That's perfectly fine. I don't think we need to. If we did this, to stop this from growing, that sends some power over here, sends some power over here. At that point, I think we play into nowhere just in case they skip. We're impacting all 3 lanes. They're going to have to do something really substantial to overcome that. Now, if they have a She-Hulk, they may do a She-Hulk and something that could be troublesome. So I almost wonder if it's better to do the She-Hulk in the Bifrost or if it's better to do it in Nowhere. I don't know for sure. So we're just going to send it. We're going to send it and hope that they don't have the She-Hulk in hand. They do move their Jeff. They play one card in the hub, and that is the Black Bolt. So this does look like maybe an augmented version of the Stature deck, but with the Dr. Doom coming down, we're going to be able to steal the left lane where that Jeff was. We're going to be able to steal the right lane, and we are able to hold down the 4 cubes. This one could have been potentially countered if they had the She-Hulk. That is where this one kind of struggles, is against a Zoo deck that wants to double down on their She-Hulks. But we are able to hold down the 4 cubes. We're going to go ahead and take it. What a way to start the video. Very straightforward match. And that's what you're going to find a lot of times with Death Wave, is that it's just very consistent and it does what it wants to do very, very well. And sometimes your opponent's just going to underestimate what you can do on the final turn. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Solverstein. In our opening hand, we do have Wave. That's a huge proponent in this deck. I'm going to go ahead and play Yondu into Murder World. We are okay if it gets destroyed. Okay, we hit their Mind Stone. So they're running a Thanos deck. We could have checked, but I guess I've lost the PTSD of needing to check it every single game. So the middle location is Central Park. Without Killmonger in... yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it. I was going to say without Killmonger in hand, I kind of don't want to do the Squirrel Girl. We at least have Deathlock. This is going to get cleared. We can use Deathlock in mid. We're going to have basically a free death. With seeing them run a Carnage, I assume they probably have something very similar on their end as well. And so we'll see. We'll see what they're able to make happen. It could be a scam Thanos, one that, okay. So it does look like maybe it's the Lockjaw rotation death version or variant of Thanos. I don't know that that one is just overly strong right now. They have initiative. I'm gonna tempo play Enchantress into the vault. I don't know if they're running any kind of ongoings or not. Okay, so they changed this with Reality Stone. Oh my god, it turns into TVA. Do we win this one? Do we have the better point differential? I think we do. Oh my gosh, what? I have seen more games ruined by the Reality Stone. So whenever I play Thanos, I'm always really hesitant to drop the Reality Stone. Like really, really hesitant. If I have any other play, I like to go with the other play. Oh my gosh, let's take it and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Ob, and we actually just played against Ob just a second ago, and they ended up retreating for 1 after going into turn 6. Not exciting, so I went ahead and skipped it. Maybe this time will be a little bit more eventful. So they had a Daredevil, they had an Arrow, and we were able to position their cards in a way that they weren't able to do, like a Professor X lock, which I assume is what they were wanting to do, and they just weren't quite able to do it. Elysium is wild, because now, even with Wave, it's not incredibly impactful in general. We're gonna see. Also, if they're running a Professor X, they might do a Hail Mary Professor X on 4. So we have to be wary and aware of that as well. I'm going to go ahead and skip here. They skip as well. Wow. Okay. We have initiative, so let's go ahead and pull whatever they play into negative zone. I think they probably only play 1 card here. We're going to pull it into negative zone. We'll do Wave next turn, and if they're doing a Professor X lock, we're going to make sure that they can't get it successfully. If they play something like a Sentry, we're also going to pull it into negative zone. Ooh, depending on what card they played last. Oh, this was the last card they played, so the She-Hulk. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Everything is fine. Let's go with the Wave. That's going to make our She-Hulk free. Death should be really cheap. We have the Dr. Doom. I was trying to decide if we could play the Deathlock or not. So with Wave, that makes She-Hulk 4. This is 3. The extra energy is 2. Death, we have destroyed 1, 2 cards, so 4, 2, and then this is 3. So we'd be 1 energy short from being able to do the Deathlock as well here. But by destroying this card with Deathlock, we destroy 1 more card. So we'll destroy 3, Deathlock will become 1, She-Hulk, it goes down to 2. We can play all 3. Let's go ahead and do the Deathlock. I don't think we have to play it as conservatively now. If they have the Arrow, oh no, we just completely wipe out our right lane. Had we played the Wave last, that would have been fine. This is a little bit worse for wear because we're clearing some of the big space that we have. And we get the good old cheeky thumbs up. That's all right. We still have our big burst of power here. I don't know that that is enough to do it, but we're going to try. So this is 9, so that brings us to 11. This will bring us up a little bit. This brings us up. Let's compete for the left and the right location. We're going to get a little bit of support from the Doctor Doom as well. Now, we have to remember that they get the Elysium discount, so they can still play 2 cards. So it still becomes questionable whether we can win or not. They have a Doctor Doom of their own. I believe we should tie in the right lane, and so then it comes to a point differential in the rest of the locations. So we do tie in the right lane. We have the She-Hulk come down. Their Sunspot soaks in the left lane to bring them to a tie. We win mid by 1, and so even though they were able to just greatly hamstring us with the arrow last turn, we were able to hold down the 4-cube win. So immediately karma for the thumbs up for the. I mean, it was a good play. Had we ordered it correctly, the wave would have been over there instead, and it would have been fine. But we were able to hold it down. That one feels good. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Snap GPT. I mean, Mr. Whale. I mean, Ordinary Harry. So the first location is the Daily Bugle. Luckily we're running a really strong deck. They have a Mysterio, so that tells me if we can draw our wave, we're in a really, really good spot. Because anytime I see Mysterio, I think of like a Sarah counter deck, and I think of a Hitmonkey like Moon Zoo flood deck. And wave just really hamstrings both of those. So they drop a Nova, perfectly fine. Oh, what? And then District X makes this much less fun. It did not need to be like this. You didn't have to do us this way. All right, let's go ahead and do the Killmonger. We're going to destroy their Nova before it buffs anything up, just to get it out of the board. They could have a Nebula. If so, then that's unfortunate. But they have Thor that they got from District X, okay? The chance of them drawing into the Mjolnir is really low. It's like a 3 out of 10. It's like a 30% chance or something really, really small here. Let's go with Quicksilver and Deathlock. We're not going to aim to destroy the extra 1 costs, just because District X, we're never going to draw into death. Like, very rarely would we ever draw into death now. He changes the District X location, but it's a little bit too little too late. The cards are already in our deck, so that makes a flood deck really, depending on what resources they had beforehand, that makes it really, really difficult to navigate. I'm going to do an Iron Fist and an Enchantress. We're looking for just raw stats at this point. And so that gives us quite a bit. They do use an arrow, which pulls it pulls our Enchantress back in. It didn't really matter that it was in Daily Bugle. We have the old flippity flop location of New York, so it really didn't matter too much. Now the question becomes, do we use Arrow or Ronin here? We drew into Ronin. They have 5 cards in their hand right now, so right now this is a 10 power card, but I have to assume they play more than 1 card, meaning that Ronin is probably going to be worse than the Arrow. So let's move this. We're going to do one of these. Who knows? Who knows? We may end up winning this one. We may end up losing it. But they snap. They increase the stakes on the last turn. We're hoping that's just more of a bluff than anything. But I am going to... we are going to use Arrow to try to pull whatever they play in mid out. And let's see. Are we able to hold it down? Is our 15 points in the left lane... Oh my gosh. That is some unfortunate District X luck. Oh, I always hate games where we get an Agatha. Oh my gosh. And we win it by 1 point. We win the squirrels are able to break the tiebreaker here. We would have won the point differential without the squirrels. But still, the Agatha in District X is always so very unfortunate. We'll go ahead and take it. Let's jump over into the next one. All right. I hope you guys are ready. Next up, we have Gore, and the first location is Olympia. So we have our Squirrel Girl. It drew into our additional resources. So we have Wave, Dr. Doom, She-Hulk. We have so many good plays. Oh my gosh. And then we get Nova Roma What is this game? If the next one, I don't think there's any other locations that draw cards for you. If the next one is the one that shuffles your cards back into your deck, it's going to be a slap in the face. We're going to go ahead and play the Yondu. They don't have very many resources left. We hit their Polaris, and they're running a Nova. So I see Polaris right now. I think of the Stature Miles deck, but the Nova doesn't fit into that. So I'm curious what kind of deck they're running. They are running one that probably runs Killmonger. We're going to do the courtesy for them. We're going to destroy their Nova before it can buff anything up on the board. Similar to the last game against Snap GPT, we're going to focus on getting that destroyed before it can impact the board in any way, shape, or form. And so we still don't have our death, surprisingly enough. They drop a Cosmo, but that's not going to be enough to prohibit us. This could be a Silver Surfer deck. The Cosmo, the Polaris, the Nova all line up with the counter or tech-heavy Silver Surfer. So in that case, I think we're in a relatively comfortable spot here. Let's go 4, 5, 6. Okay. We've destroyed plenty of cards to be able to potentially do all three. We have a 50-50... No, we have a guaranteed to draw death by the end of the game. Let's go Bucky Barnes and then Carnage. We should have Olympia locked down. They said hello at the start of the game, so I'm not going to snap on them, but we're in a really, really good spot right now. Like, they could storm this location. That's fine. We have Doctor Doom to continue to go wide. We just... so much impact that the Silver Surfer is not going to be able to hold it down where they need it to. So they could have like a Maximus over here. Maximus would be fine. Let's go with our Wave and Baxter Building. We now know that the next card we draw, is Death. She was chilling at the very bottom of our deck, making sure that we really churned through all of our cards. And so they have the Sarah for the cost reduction, so they can still play 2 cards, but with us being able to play 3 and them being largely impactful, I don't foresee them being able to get enough reach where they need to. So let's go ahead and do the Death plus the Doctor Doom. We want to make sure, if anything, this is the lane we win. I don't want them to like sneak away a lane by swinging that 3 points back in their favor. And then we have the She-Hulk in mid to try and help us hold that one down. I think Olympia and Baxter Building are the lanes that we're going to be competing to win in. And so let's go ahead and lock it in. If they stay, it's a little bit silly. We've both drawn all the way through our decks, which is wild. Wild to get both Olympia and Nova Roma in the same game. They do decide to stay, probably because we didn't snap. But we have the Death. The Juggernaut is big. Okay. That helps them. No, okay. No. That was almost big. It almost helped them win Baxter Building, but we just had so much power in the other two that it wasn't quite enough to hold it down. Even if they had the Juggernaut and the Silver Surfer, it would have swung this lane, but these two were just so heavily held down that we still would have been able to win. We will go ahead and take the 2 cubes. And I know that this is not a exciting deck. It's not a crazy deck. It is a very consistent, very straightforward, and the advantage that it has is that it offers a lot of disruption for the opponent. Now, we didn't get to showcase Enchantress, but the main reason why she's good in this version is that we can handle tall cards. There's not a lot of decks right now that are going incredibly tall because of the threat of Shang-Chi. And so Enchantress, we can take out those common decks like the Hawk decks. We can take out Nulls. We can take out all kinds of really strong ongoing effects. We can take out the Patriot decks. All of those really strong ongoing cards with the Enchantress. And if they don't have any ongoings to cancel out, she's still a really good tempo drop at 4/6. And so overall, the list is incredibly cohesive. It's very straightforward, very easy to run. Just, you can slam this, play it patiently, and snap when you have the advantage, and you're going to be getting cubes. This is probably one of the top decks right now. It is very free-to-play friendly, but it is very efficient. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you try this one out, let me know how it goes. Let me know how your Climb to Infinite goes. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.